Mika.
I can.
How are you?
Hi, Mika.
Are we going to have a shutdown?
Hope not.
Well, what's it going to take?
Well, it's going to take some willingness on the other side to give a little bit. We have given 70% towards the dollars that they wanted to produce, and they have not given an inch on the policies that they want included. As Governor Daniels pointed out from Indiana, a candidate for president on the Republican side of the aisle, he said, look, make an agreement on numbers. Let's get that stabilized first. The social issues to other bills. That's what we ought to do. The fact is that shutting down the government is a bad policy, but it's a policy, of course, that the Republicans have pursued before in 1995 in trying to bludgeon the Clinton administration into agreeing to things it didn't agree to. That was not good policy then. It's not good policy now. And I'm going to be working, I know, with other Democratic leaders in the Senate and the House to try to keep the government open for the next week or 10 days with a bridge that will get us from where we are now, negotiations, to hopefully an agreement, but not shut down the government in the process.
Okay. Hey, Cindy, we've got Mark Halpern with us from Time Magazine. Mark?
Congressman, you talked about how your party has already given 70% towards the Republicans. Why have you given so much ground? And don't you think that has probably just emboldened Speaker Boehner to continue to seek more and more, given that you've given so much ground?
Well, it may more, and that will be a mistake, because I think the president is very clear on what he will and will not do. He's not going to take positions with which he does not agree. And George Bush did the same thing. The difference was when George Bush took those positions, we made it clear that we weren't going to shut down the government, and frankly, we agreed with the president so bills could be signed and the government could stay open.
But why have you given so much ground already?
Well, I think because it's clear that the Republicans on dollars, there is a real, I think, desire among the American public, and we share that view, that we got to restrain spending, bring the deficit under control. We left them with a $5.6 trillion deficit when they took over in 2001. They squandered that, and they brought deep debt. And $2.4 trillion of deficit spending during their reign when they controlled all the organs of government. We understand that government spending has to be restrained, but we don't think that 100% of everything they want is sound democracy or sound negotiations.
All right.
The founder, Mort, I don't know whether you heard, the founder of the Tea Party Patriots yesterday in an interview with Chris Matthews, Chris asked him, what if Boehner comes back with $99 billion? The founder of the Tea Party Patriots said, that wouldn't be enough, we want 100. Now, that under those circumstances, it's clear that one party is stuck in the mud and will not move no matter what the consequences.
I wonder if perhaps to solve that problem and to get one or the other party out of the mud might be a consequence that many government workers would have to endure if there was a government shutdown. Do you think that you and other members of Congress should get paid? Obviously, there's a standard in which you will be paid if there is a government shutdown. Perhaps would it make a difference if you all didn't receive your salaries?
Well, I think as a practical matter, we shouldn't receive our salaries, but as a constitutional matter, as you know, the 27th Amendment says our salary can't be reduced. And the reason for that, obviously, is so that members of Congress can't be threatened by salary reductions to do this, that, or the other, but to make their decisions on policy. But the real issue is, I think that's a powerful symbol, and I think certainly that makes sense. But the real issue is there is no excuse for shutting down the government this time. We're very close to an agreement. There are simply some, as they were in the town meetings. They didn't want to listen. They simply wanted to shout and demonstrate, and they didn't want to come together and reason together. And we're going to be working today, frankly, to try to get a bridge from where we are now to the next 7 days or next 10 days to give us some additional time where reasonable people can sit down together and come to an agreement. I think that's possible, and hopefully we'll get there.
Let's go around to Steve Ratner. Steve.
Congressman, the Speaker was prepared to do a deal at $33 billion on a couple of different occasions, but as you said, it was really the Tea Party that has been pulling him to the right. Do you see any possibility that the Speaker would try to forge some kind of a bipartisan consensus from the center and move away from the Tea Party, which according to the polls is actually losing some popularity during this whole debate?
Well, Steve, you know, in the last CR, in which we kept the government open for 3 weeks, I voted for that. It was a $2 billion cut per week, $6 billion total. I voted for that, and I brought about 83 Democrats with me. The Republicans did not have the majority. They had 186, short of the 218 majority. And in a bipartisan way, we passed that last CR. I've told the Speaker and Mr. Cantor that I'm prepared, assuming the internals, that is exactly what the component parts are of the $70 billion, assuming that we can agree with that, which I think we can, then I think I will try to help him pass this bill. So I would hope that the answer to your question is yes, that he would come away from his most hard-line, shut-down focused and intending members to come to a bipartisan agreement where we could make sense and reason together and keep the government open and not have the adverse effect on the economy that shutdown would have.
All right, Steny Hoyer, recently promoted by Steve Radner to Speaker of the House. Thank you for being with us. And
under those circumstances, Steve, we would keep the government open.
All right. Hey, and Heath Schuler, thank you also for being with us. We greatly appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon.
Up next,
great guy.
Yeah, happy birthday. That's what the countdown to Joe's birthday. Up next,
and the government shutdown.
NBC's White House correspondent.
That's what you call serendipity.
Savannah Guthrie coming up, and NBC Capitol Hill correspondent Kelly O'Donnell.